Welcome to CPG Vibes. No script, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review. If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service or be a guest, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Now your hosts, me, Alex Baer with Genius Juice, and Wade Yenny. All right, welcome to episode 86 of CPG Vibes. How's it going, everyone? We apologize for the late start time today. Wade with his Guru Energy shirt, a lot of energy today. I can already tell. How you doing, brother?
You know what? That's terrific intro, because the first comment outside of my own that I see there is from Dima. So Dima, this was not planned. You're welcome. This is a free a plug for Guru there. So, I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing?
Everything's good, man. I mean, besides just, we'll talk about in the later half of the show once we bring on our guest. After we have our guest on, then we're going to catch about some other items. But a lot of traveling, Expo East, discussions on LinkedIn about the viability of Expo West, which has been a really hot topic. Is it worth going? Is it not? Is it worth exhibiting? Is it not? And then, we had a bunch of events for the shots as well, which was fun. These are the Genius shots. And for those that don't know, I'm the brand Genius Juice, and some cool feedback and great sales from our shots out in the community. So lots to talk about. But we skipped last week, as mentioned, because of Expo East. And now we are back. So we're going to speed things right along, because the every second we spend talking about ourselves, we take away 1 second from bringing our guest on. So and one thing just to note too, is that originally, right, when we first advertised this show a day or two ago, Aaron Hindi, right, one of the co-founders of LifeAid Beverage, he was going to come on. He had a scheduling conflict that was basically impossible to get out of. So he gladly was able to connect us with their CMO, Emily Sommariva, who's decorated past in CPG. She is super knowledgeable about LifeAid. So I think we're still obviously very honored and grateful to have her on the show. And so we're going to bring her on right now, and let's get some music going. I'm going to do acoustic cinematic, whatever that sounds like.
Did we tell Emily she had to dance her way into the show? I don't remember if we briefed her on that. Was that a thing or not?
That was not a thing, but you just made it a thing. So there we go. It's a new no script, just chat. We just made up a new rule, but dancing optional only if you want to, Emily. But here we go. Emily Sommariva. And
there we go. There you go. I like it. I love it.
That would be a good show, right? No.
Excellent.
Well, that's the beauty of marketing, the beauty of our industry is you got to kind of roll with the punches. And thanks for being adaptive and letting me work with and for Aaron in this capacity with you guys. So it's an honor and a privilege to join you today.
Welcome.
Absolutely. And I think, I'm a marketing and sales guy myself. So it's actually really cool to have you on, because I love to hear the brand story from the marketing side, how you get people to buy it, the packaging, what kind of marketing initiatives you put forth to get people to see the product and buy it. So, but first off, tell us about yourself, where you reside. And by the way, that whether that's a digital image behind you or real, that's pretty well set up back there.
No, that's great. And that's part of it's not work from home, it's home at work environment that I've had to curate, right? Because that's the way a lot of us are now. Feeling like this is a sanctuary, but it's also a place of business. So
exactly. If you can consult me and Wade on having better, because right now my background is a mirror, which looks like crap, and then Wade's is
it's a clean mirror. It's a clean mirror. There's not handprints on it, so we've got.
I've got some decent art back here.
Yours is not as bad, but yours is not as good as Emily's. For
I was going to say, if I was a little closer, I might challenge Emily on that, because I've got Chris Farley Van Down by the River. I've got the Cavs 2016 NBA Championship cornhole board. I've got a poster of David Blaine. I've got Beck and Spoon. I've got it all covered back here. You just can't see it because I'm too far away.
That's
exactly. Yeah, you got to bring maybe take a picture of your wall and then make a digital image and bring it closer. That's
a good thought. I might do that
anyway.
for next week. I might.
Yeah, you got the energy now, and with Guru.
Exactly.
So
right on.
So anyway,
guys, as much as we love Dima and as much as we love Guru, I have to. It's late in the afternoon for us on the West Coast, but here's you with the clean energy, grape acai. So
yeah, I saw that on your website. That was like the can opening that was heard around the world. That was super loud. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How did you get into space? And then does anything you want to share on the show?
Yeah, I'll keep it somewhat succinct because I'm sure, like all of us, we could probably go down rabbit holes of the ways that our paths have led us to where we are today.
Sure.
For me, born and raised in the bottom corner of the States, which is in Florida, finished up there, got a degree, moved up to the Northeast, trying to stomp and pave my way and do big things, as a lot of us found ourselves looking for bigger bowls to swim in, and ended up in the advertising and marketing space, looking for a really cool, at the time, upstart brand who had in their background, was gyro marketing at the time, now QCM Mercantile. They had really spent their genesis of marketing building brands for William Grant and Sons, doing a lot of work in the tobacco space, had a lot of other clients, even in the places that maybe had been more in the vice area of advertising and marketing, and was right at that cusp where things and regulations became a lot more restrictive. You guys can remember a lot of the work that happened with the Camel and lawsuits, as far as print and traditional. This is prior to us having so much fun spending our ad dollars on Meta, right? And then from there, went into the brand space, working for William Grant and Sons as part of the acquisition of the Sailor Jerry brand. And at that time, it really was an outlier, part of the smaller set, punching up to brands that, with Diageo and Captain Morgan, who were throwing around dollars that were incomparable or unfathomable to us, doing a lot of grassroots marketing, a lot of investments in niche spaces, which has been a through line of my career professionally, is finding brands that have really found themselves in strongholds in their areas of expertise, both in marketing and in their channels of business and distribution. From there, worked with Sailor Jerry for a number of years, saw some tremendous growth, was with them as we expanded globally through the William Grant and Sons distribution platform and network. Had a lot of fun, probably a lot of maybe too much fun for a while, as you could imagine, in the spirits space. And then ended up back in the agency serving brand space again. Was very fortunate to work with the Malvin Group. I'm not sure if you guys are into golf, but Stephen is the founder.
A little bit.
Yep. So Malvin Golf area. He's, really, we had some really good stuff with them, working for brands like Scion, which was a very niche youth marketing of the Toyota Lexus Motor Corps Group, and had an incredible opportunity to work with artists, work on budgets that were automotive in nature, which were sizable, but also with a lot less performance marketing attached to them. So really cutting my teeth on big advertising buys, niche ways we were working with artists, and really that time, which was a really wonderful learning curve. And then from there, still servicing the spirits world from the agencies side, and ended up working with one of their sister agencies, which was no longer a team, but his background, Matt Costa and Brian Alper, really great guys. They were doing work with a little brand called LifeAid, and it was friends from Matt's early days. They needed some seed money. They were just putting their pieces together. Matt was doing promo and pro bono work on the marketing side, working on social media, working on the digital advertising space, getting some of their experiential done for LifeAid for Aaron Hind. I had to get a name correction in there.
Hind, yes.
Viewers, that's right. And Orion Malahan. And so those two guys were, about 10, 11 years ago now, I think it might be then, they were really in that upstart side, had the great idea, had the platform to do it, needed the money, started grinding it out. And unlike a lot of the other beverages that start in this space, as you guys know firsthand, the drop-off rate is worse than any other industry, probably worse than a restaurant, if you could, and made it through. We're now in our 10th, 11th year. We are so thrilled and honored to have a incredibly sticky book of business, both for our direct to consumer customers, our gym customers, our resellers, as well as the retail space, which I know, you guys have a lot of experience in with Fresh Time and, Fresh Market. So we are really in a point in our business at LifeAid, which I have now been with them as their chief marketing officer for about 7 years. At an inflection point of the business, and as a lot of the other guests on CPG Vibes have alluded to, it's grow at all cost and now come back to your roots and find out where you're winning, continue to press in that space, work with retailers that want to work with you, find those areas of marketing that are truly performance and letting that flywheel spin. So long monologue. Hope there was some things in there you guys could pull out, and going to be as much of an open book as I can be on how we're really growing and seeing success at LifeAid.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think and part of the show too is what are the takeaways, right? What are the takeaways from all the viewers and the community, and what can they learn from the LifeAid story? And I think that's where we love to bring value to the community. Plus, hearing your story and where you've come from, your past, going to LifeAid and so forth. But when looking at it, we're looking at a brand that is now 10 or 11 years old. Most beverage owners dream, it's like a distant dream to last in this business for 10 years. So like from being with the company nearly 7 years of the 10 to 11 years that LifeAid has been around, what have been some of the key things that you've done to, number one, survive, number two, grow and stay around? And then now that you're in 10 or 11 years, I imagine also there's probably investors. So what are you, because there's brand owners that listen on the show that are also have investors, and they're waiting for a return or an exit or something. How have you been handling the investor relationships? And maybe that's more of a question for Erin, or maybe both of you.
Yeah.
When it's a company that just is continuing, is growing 10, 11 years in, how has that discussion changed with investors? And then just any like tips or sharings with our community on like, what have you done for pivoting and SKU rationalization and really finding your balance after all these years? Like, it's a long question, but yeah.
I'm taking notes. I think there's a lot of areas that we can unpack it, one time or the other. I'm going to start with the answer as far as the investors. And I'm going to give you just a top level answer, which is the way that our environment is right now isn't just that growth. The answer is, how close could you be to profitability? And am I willing to give up liquid death size growth, but I'm not going to be losing $60 million a month to do it, right? So I want to challenge us. I want to challenge people in the CPG space to talk about, it's not just that growth at all costs. It's not just watching Meta run away with cat costs. It's us getting control of our business again. It's all of us being opened and accessible to the ideas of looking at our worst case scenarios. Where do we have the weakness? Not just looking for good news, but I can find good news in bad news, right? And that, I think, is where the paradigm shift is happening for us to answer your question. Go to a board of directors call, back to our investors and say, it's not just about record growth, record ACV, record BPO. It's sustainability and doing it without spending all of your money and our money to do so. So, I mean, that's what I would like to hear if I had my money parked, especially in the CPG space where money is hard to find right now.
Yeah. And I'll kind of, and add to it as well, just from a founder perspective as well. And that, it is the long game, and the long game could be very, very long. And one thing that we have told investors in the past is like, this may not happen in 3 to 5 years, like you see, with other brands that have done this to get to 50 million, 100 million. Every brand goes at their own speed. Mm-hmm. But I think the most important thing is to make the right decisions to survive and last versus just burning out fast, burning the candles from both ends, and then running out of money and then ending. And there's been so many companies that have been VC backed that have done that. Like you've seen them, Wade, and Emily, you've seen it. People on the show have seen it. They've been around 5 years, 6 years, and their first year they're small. Their second, third year they get the VC money or big money, and then they're just growing rapidly in the third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, and then like on the seventh year, you're like, where the hell are they? They just they disappeared. So there's definitely something to say there where you got to go slow and not get pressured by investors if it's not the right thing for the brand and the company. And I feel too that it's timing as well. Some brands get the right timing where they go from 0 to 100 million within 3 years or 4 years, but that's like not the norm. Most of it is just making the right decisions, like we talked about, being profitable, going in the right stores, and being strategic. So how have you guys been strategic, let's say the last 3 years, to say, here's what we're going to do and here's what we're not going to do to ensure that the company stays healthy?
Well, let's circle back around to one of your questions about SKU rationalization. Let's talk about what it is that we're putting to have a market match, perfect meet, and making sure that we're meeting the customers with quality products that meet their need occasion. We have a platform, and our book of business is centered around a brand called LifeAid. That is our workhorse for the LifeAid portfolio, and it is the one that has the most fervent and an incredible audience of people who have found it to be impactful in their lives, both for recovery. For us in the last couple of years, we towed the line for a long time to enter into the caffeine space. We know what sells. We saw plenty of spins reports to know where there was record growth, where there was, rocket ship brands in the same space and 12-ounce slim cans, Alani News, and of course our favorites, along the line, maybe some of them not as naturally sweetened as ours, but we knew that there would be an opportunity, and it took a little time for us to innovate in that area, taking the time to do it right, finding the sweet spot that we would have immediate adoption with the audience that we had. So that was one of the ways that we found innovation to help lead us into both marketing decisions and channels that we otherwise might not have gone into. C stores, clean energy sets that are expanding across the US. In the US market alone, and I think that this is a perfect time to really think about what consumers are demanding. Sets have changed. Where there used to be 2 aisles of 2 liters, we now find these functional fitness areas or these enhanced waters, much greater volumes than we've ever seen. That competition, that other expansion in those spaces, even if there are others who are trying to be FitAid, allowed us to open up more doors at retail to become much more accessible to new to file for direct to consumer. Going into the energy space, we went in with multiple flavors. That's usually not the way a lot of other brands would innovate in a SKU assortment. I see you're just launching one of your shots. I mean, how many flavors did you go in with to start that, right? Like, did you have that decision yourself to say, okay, I want to go in with many, I want to go in with few? And what would that mean for you in your inventory, your supply chain, those pieces of the business? And feel free to interrupt. I didn't want to just be on a soapbox, but the other side of the energy innovation was also us taking a hard look and say, it's great to have a brand block. Let's talk about retail first, right? It's great to have a brand block. It's great to have 5, 6 facings. And, I see that we've got someone who was, Sean was at Publix. We had incredible facings at Publix, but what was the worst performing SKU doing for us at that retailer? Was it just a feel good to have it there? Could we do a swap? Did it make more sense to invest in, a SKU that was performing greater? A couple of things that we talked about there, whether it's the innovation itself or being able to make hard decisions about what SKUs are on shelf, really did make big changes for us, the way we were treating that channel, if you will, the retail channel. I'll let you can jump in there, but the growth strategy for direct, or the growth strategy for our gym channel resellers, was very different than that. We had to take those hard looks at what was it truly costing us to acquire these. Are we okay with bringing in 20% less new to file, but saving 40 to 50% in ad costs? Yes. It was that balance. And that was, to us, why we didn't peter out and why we are still going strong and why I am more thrilled than ever to see LifeAid in 24 and the work that we're doing for our 3-6 years. So, yeah.
Excellent.
I hope that answers some of those questions. I mean,
I think that's great. And I was going to say, I wanted to follow up a little bit, Emily, and with, looking at it from a retail perspective. I think Alex touched on, the evolution with, how things have changed over the last couple of years. And you obviously touched on it as well. But one of the things I want to know, like, coming at it from a retail perspective, if you were walking into, let's just call it a average store size, let's say 30,000 square foot store today that you don't currently have presence in, what would your playbook look like as far as, obviously you want to get, you touched a little bit on it as far as, SKU rat and whatnot, but
Right.
What would ideally today, now getting in a new box, what would that look like? How many SKUs do you think is ideal? And why do you think that number is ideal?
I'm going to challenge you from where I sit on the marketing side of it, which is
Okay.
what is the cost going to be in there? What's my slotting? What's my investment that I'm going to need to make sure it works at your retail location? Because I think nowadays that's where we're falling in the trap, is that any outlet, whether it's a C-store, a health food store, or another, big chain that we're honored to be in, it can be a trap and a slippery slope to just say, I want those facings and I want the SKUs I want to perform there. So I would tell you that that's really been one of the ways that we've changed our business and the way that we've come to that exact scenario and run it on paper. ROAS calculations. Does it make sense to be in Jimmy's? Does it run, sense? And where do we know we will win? Because I don't need to just have cans on shelf. I need them to move.
Right.
Yep,
and
exactly.
where do you see yourself winning right now? What is your, outside of D2C, what is your, if you were building a retailer from the ground up, what does the retailer look like? Is it convenience? Is it conventional? Is it natural? What does it look like as far as what do you see as the right fit for your product?
Yeah, I think we are still very much in that natural space. And I think that we are, and a lot of the other brands that are of that same ilk, a lot of us who decided to not attend Expo East and are questioning Expo West, as you guys will discuss further, we're looking at that saying, I know that I'm not going to need to convince someone to get off a 40 grams of sugar drink. I'm not going to have to convince someone, but we are doing so well in Sprouts. We are doing so well in, areas where we see, Fresh Market, that we have adoption and the facing is doing the job for me because we have people who are looking at labels. We are still in a time where, putting on the can clean caffeine really matters, and where those sugar sources come from matter. We have taken that opportunity in the past to be in some very big chains. I would still say, Whole Foods is a beast for us. It's because we know that those are the shoppers that are ready to have that. We have not, and I think this is a perfectly fair statement to say, whether my bosses or anyone else on the call, we have not crossed that chasm, as you guys have probably picked up in those books. We have not gone from completely core to more. And I believe that is what our vision is for that brand, is to absorb as many people as we can in the Whole Foods, in the Sprouts, in the, up and down mom and pop clean grocery that do migrate out, and they will create demand signals that it's not just about us doing dealer, meetings and having our Unify KeHE buyers, knock on every door, but the doors are going to start coming to us. And I believe that's there because I see what's happening in the e-commerce space. I see what's happening in our direct-to-consumer business. Those are no different shoppers than the people who do go into, HEB, and they will demand and continue to pull those products off the shelf.
Yeah, it's really knowing where your product belongs and where it should go into, and its product market fit. And if I had to, on one hand, list the reasons why companies go out of business, one is the product's just not a great product. It doesn't taste great, or the benefits aren't there, or it's not the right. People just don't want it, right? I remember bone broth water or whatever. Like, yeah, it's healthy, but who the hell wants to drink bone broth? There's certain ones that do well, but like I remember like a $5 one that launched in SoCal, it just didn't do well. But the key reason beyond just running out of money is making the wrong, not not the best decisions for the brand on where the product should go. And a lot of entrepreneurs, and the gems that you're sharing, and that I can really highlight, is that a lot of companies make decisions to serve the revenue. Oh, I want to get in, and they put the brand and the viability and the financial viability of the brand, and the company last for the growth, for new SKUs. Part of it's a little bit of vanity, right? It's cool to see 6 flavors lined up, with the logo versus
good telling people I'm at every single place. I mean, there is
feels
an ego.
good. There's the hype, the LinkedIn. Plus, you might get some additional investment if you get investors excited that you're in more stores. But I think what you're saying, Emily, and what the takeaway that I have and others I think are having is this disciplined approach to just go where it's going to sell, look at the return on investment, and be very, very careful. And that's why, I mean, that is the main reason, beyond having a great team, you being on the team, Aaron, as another visionary on the team, why you're still around, 10, 11 years later. I mean, Wade, if there was 1,000 food and beverage companies over 11 years, just take random companies of different revenues, like they just start 1,000 beverage and food and beverage, it's called beverage companies. How many of those would last 10 years or more, do you think? I mean,
that's rough. Well, I
would say like less than 10.
Well, I was going to say the other thing that I would point out is that they're still their own brand, right? They haven't sold. They're not a conglomerate with a Pepsi, a Coke, one of the big boys, right? Haven't swallowed them up. And I think not that won't happen. I mean, but 10 years in, if you're still around, more often than not, it's because you've been acquired by someone larger than you. As far as that goes, I mean, because that's certainly whether intentional or not, that's certainly something that happens quite a bit in the space.
Yeah, and I think this is a rarity, to be honest. Like, it's a rarity to see a brand like LifeAid that you can still find on the shelves, right? It's still well represented in the stores that you want to be in. You're in business. You haven't been bought by anyone, to my knowledge, right? Or majority stake. No one owns a majority stake, like a private equity. And you're still doing what you're doing and making decisions in-house on where this product goes and still innovating. I think that's the rare of the rare of the rare. And so, like, the takeaway is, like, how the hell did you guys do it? Like, what were some, and then you've already shared some of these gems. I wanted to ask so there's things for our community to think about, right? And honestly, this is a great model to work off of what they have done. So I wanted to ask, and I brought this up, and I always toot my own horn in a little bit away, is that with our shots or Genius Shots, we really we're focusing on coffee shops. We want to go outside of that and go to natural stores, which we're doing. But we find that the consumer gets it in a coffee shop. The velocities are higher. Have you found, I mean, from what you shared about distribution, the natural stores, right, and D2C and gyms, I mean, I guess that might be the answer is it gyms, or what is like that kind of food service or not natural segment that you've been focusing on that has actually done really well for your brand?
Yeah, I think for me and for us over the last couple of years, which is really informing that decision, it has been to focus on the product, to focus on the end consumer. And we are in a position where we have direct sales, which a lot of other beverage brands don't. And so that's allowed us to get something which we come back to, and I know I've mentioned in the past, which is data. And understanding our customers, understanding where they are, understanding what they're buying in cart, when they're buying other products in our, portfolio, a lot of it will come back to the consumer, and even to watch them on on Amazon, right? Even consumers on Amazon helping to inform some of those decisions in that general e-commerce space. We went through a shift, all of us did, right? Where we became a lot more comfortable buying things online. The LifeAid brand, and one of the things that Aaron and Orion did, which I believe was one of the early, brands to do so, was to build an entire business model digitally. Their direct-to-consumer business is where they put a runway for them to be able to afford to go into retail, which is very expensive, to hire the kinds of people that would help them propel with, big other efforts as they go, step by step by step. And that runway that they put together through direct to consumer and direct to gyms and direct to resellers, okay, really gave us a wealth of knowledge that we still learn from today. Taking every decision that we're making, every dollar that we spend to see dollars come back on direct conversion is informing a lot for us so that we can excel in those other channels. And there are not a lot of other brands that have the infrastructure, that have the distribution model, that have the 3PLs and the logistics teams and the ways that they can continue to succeed there. So I think that is something that Aaron and Orion did very well to position themselves continuously iterating and looking at the data to make informed decisions to those other channels that you mentioned.
And it sounds like what's cool is you have some direct business, with the gyms or other resellers,
right,
which is a whole other revenue stream. And again, that's what I was thinking, like even before you said it, was just FitAid and that being your number one SKU, I believe, right?
It is, yeah.
Just gyms. It just makes perfect sense. Have you made entryways into the more national gyms, or is it more of like the mom and pop kind of individually owned, or both?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we really do have a lot of different places in the fitness community. And a lot of those, even just outside of fitness, right? Looking at chiropractic, looking at independent decision makers who are able to become brand fanatics themselves. I know I'm steering it back to consumers, but you're not just buying FitAid because it's going to sell well. You could find some other shit to put in your store that'll sell well, and it's probably not as good for you. But I can guarantee you, if I can find converts who themselves will pull cans out of the fridge, whether they're, selling ice baths or they're selling functional fitness, if they believe in the product and they see it good for their members, the health of their members will bring in more people, will sell more cans. And it is a halo for us too, to continue to, like I said at the beginning, that flywheel keep on spinning of finding repeat purchasers, building a online platform that is subscription based. I have monthly deliveries going out to tens of thousands of people throughout the world right now, because they are now incorporating our products because they believe in them. They are good, clean, and delicious into their everyday routines. And that is that cycle that, whether it is in the fitness space, yes, FitAid has its natural home there, but those people are also looking for use occasions for focus. You know exactly what a nootropic buyer looks like. I don't have the opportunity to explain to someone what a nootropic is. I need someone who has the ability to understand what vitamins and nutrients are for brain health to be able to sell them FocusAid. So that when they go to Whole Foods and they see us in the set, they may have gone in for FitAid, but now they see FocusAid and they become just part of that daily habit, as you are picking up too, from your coffee shop endeavors. You're getting people to believe in and buy into this as a habit and a pattern, just like they would with a cup of coffee.
Exactly. And the areas too on where it should be sold, like a Venice coffee shop versus, people probably will know nootropics better in Venice than, let's say, Riverside. Not to say people don't know it in Riverside. But so we're running short on time. We want to have another 5 or 6 minutes where me and Wade go over some other items. So before we bid you adieu, there's going to be a giveaway, right? And we're going to have is it a case? We can do one case of the.
I'm feeling generous. It's Friday. We are vibing. Let's do 3 cases.
3 cases.
Brand new FitAid Energy Grape Acai.
Okay, 3 cases. Great. Okay, that's super generous of you. And so
one for Alex, one for Wade, and one for the winner. No, I'm just teasing.
Let's
pick. Yeah, I was gonna say pick 3
winners. I got on the show. I offered you guys.
Decided. Let's do that. So let's do that. I love that. We got to get back to the hosts at some point, right?
There you go.
So we're working for peanuts here.
So yeah, Emily, what we usually do is we ask a question on something that we've covered, or you've covered in this case, during the course of the episode. So think about what we've talked about a little bit. Is there something you can come up with, a question, something you've talked about the brand or yourself, that you can throw out there for our listeners to chime in on and win the case of FitAid.
And
Yeah.
it's grape, so it's got to be a really hard question. They got to work hard for the grape.
Well, if I imparted anything from this conversation about us together, I do want to say what would be more important than growth at all cost. And I think it's a one-word answer. And I think it has 6 letters.
All right. Well, and I'll just go in there and say that usually there's a little bit of a delay before it comes up. So I'm going to make sure we put your plug in there again to make sure everyone knows who you are and who you're with. And we certainly appreciate your time, and just watch for the delay here as answers eventually come in. There's a little bit there. So let's see.
Yeah, it'll come in. Someone's got to nail this.
Either way, I do want to thank you guys. I think these are wonderful questions, the things that people, at least worked for us. And I can't wait to see how, Martin got it.
It's one of our regular participants, Martin Stoops.
Yeah.
Nice job, Martin.
Well, I'm honored, and I really appreciate not only the wonderful people who have commented. I see Stephanie, Sean, Scott, Brian. Thank you guys all. Martin, really, really honored to be with you guys and share some fun conversations about something that I'm very passionate about, and I know you two are as well. So
absolutely, and this will not be the last episode with LifeAid on here. Whether we would love to bring you back, because this was a shorter episode, because of just not starting on time on my side. That was our bad. And then also, Aaron as well, and hearing his story. So we'd love to bring one of you back or both of you back in a future episode, because I think there's more to the story, and we'd love to hear it. Yeah, totally honored. Thank you again. Have a wonderful Friday, and looking forward to speaking with you guys.
Great.
Again.
Thanks so much, Emily.
Thanks, Emily.
Bye.
All right. So we have about 4 minutes or 5 minutes. I'd like to mention just a couple laundry list items here. So we have some sponsorships that are opening up. We have the next few weeks that are booked, but we do have some opening up in late October and November. So make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com for that. We're offering a discount at $350. And we've had past sponsors get multiple people reach out. You also have a winner that will definitely be reaching out to you, and you can hopefully get them as a client. Really ideal if you offer, product good, even a service, right? If you offer, whether it's a freight service, whether it's consulting, all you need is one CPG brand that wants to hire you and really can get value from what you offer, and it will easily pay off whatever you're paying the show to sponsor. You're basically paying for me and Wade to continue keeping the lights on and keeping the show going. Other thing to mention for guests. So we have some openings starting in 2024. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, cpgvibes100@gmail.com. And 5 stars.
I was going to say it's a multifunctional email there. So you see it's for sponsors, for guests, Martin for your prize. You know the drill. That's the way to get in touch with us. So and while we're just giving slight plugs, we will talk about next week's episode real quick, because I know we just have a few minutes left. But next week's episode we'll have David Delcourt with Growness Foods as a guest on the show. So
and sponsor.
And I have a sponsor, and I'm feeling like if you're a betting person, I think it's a relatively safe bet that he'll be wearing yellow next week. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess I can make a joke, but yes, he's going to be wearing a tracksuit. It's most likely going to be yellow, because that's on brand for him, and that's what he does. So he calls it the Kill Bill tracksuit. So he'll be wearing that. And then he also has, just want to mention this, I won't put in the address yet, but he has a crowdfunding campaign that also just launched this week.
We'll be talking about that next week for sure.
We'll definitely be talking about that. I'm going to be posting a link either over the weekend or on Monday, because I've been consulting him, right? Which is great. He retained my services. I should say but it's really me right now, just helping. So we built the campaign page together, and he launched it, and it's looking really good. He's already raised $75,000 in the first week. So really, really awesome. So look out for that link, and then you can invest in Grown As Foods. And, I know we're out of time here, but
Well, and I was going to say we one of the things we want to talk about was Expo, but David would be
we
a
don't have time. Yeah.
good person to talk about that with next week.
Totally.
As far as that goes, but there's two things that I want to touch on before we go. One is I know we're going to talk about stuff we love, but I'm gonna segue you into talking about our ongoing sponsor, because I know a lot of you saw my post this week with regards to a masterclass coming up with V Driven, right? Who is our ongoing sponsor, and they're doing a masterclass with regards to distribution management this coming week, next week, and the link is right here. It's free. So if you've wondered about V Driven, Alex and I talk about Luke Abbott, V Driven, the team there every week, and all the great stuff they do, whether it's distribution, whether it's sales, whether it's deduction management, you name it, operations. Luke Abbott and the team at V Driven, vdriven.com can handle it. But this event, this link that you see right here, it's completely free. So if you've thought about it, you've heard us talk about it, what do these guys talk about? Why are they always talking about Luke Abbott and V Driven? Sign up for this. It's completely free, and they're going to talk about ways to handle distribution, ways to handle deductions, things like that. It costs $0. So sign up for it, check them out, and you'll see what the hype's about, and it won't cost you a penny. So I think that's a pretty good plug for Luke and the folks at V Driven and what they do. Really, just take the time. I think it would be fantastic for you. Emerging brands, especially, V Driven can be a great service for you. And Alex, coincidentally, I had a chance. Luke was traveling this way. He's a busy guy. But he was over this way this week, and Renee and I got a chance to have dinner with him and Sasha this week. So it was really cool to catch up with him. It actually has been the last time I saw him was in California when we were there over Christmas. So it was good to catch up with Luke and hear about some of the stuff they're working on. But this particular event, I can't stress enough that it'd be worth your time, an hour of your time to check out. So
cool. Yeah, I think you did well said on the sponsorship with V Driven and what they actually do for you. And I want to re-highlight the trade spend deduction management, fighting deductions, which has become more and more of a hot topic when brands are launching nationally. And then they also do accounting services with some plans starting under $1,000 a month, where they manage basically they put everything in the books, they do the monthly review, and they have a lot of knowledge, obviously immense knowledge in the CPG space, being a CPG consulting company. And then, one thing I'll mention about Luke, just more on a character level, is he is, I think, as far as all the people that I've met in this space, there's others that are also amazing, but he is such a giving, he's a spiritual person. He's a giving person. He's a family man. He's hopped on the phone with me numerous times where he's not like, oh, we have to hire us for me to give you advice. Like, no, he's not that kind of guy. And he knows the golden rule. And I'm sure there's another rule. I don't know what it's labeled, but it's the rule of, I guess, karma is the best way to put it. That when you give and you help others and you don't expect anything in return, usually you get things in return, because that's how the world works. Right. So that's exactly what V Driven does. He helps, and Luke, he helps others. You could probably email him and he'll probably have a phone call with you, and whether you hire him or not.
I'm not sure if the guy ever sleeps, to be honest with you, because I'll get, it's funny because I'm an early riser over here, right, on the East Coast. And it's not unusual for me to get up first thing in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock Eastern time. And he's one of the first emails I get. I mean, it's incredible. It's just crazy that, he works hard. And to your point, he's very genuine, very nice, very kind.
Energy. Has a lot of energy too.
Yeah, positive person.
Yes.
Yeah. There, Alex and I, we don't throw just anybody out there as far as recommendations go, but can't say enough about Luke and the team over at V Driven. So
100%. All right. Well, that is episode 86, and then next week we will be starting on time, 2:30. 5:30 Eastern. Again, that was my bad. It wasn't really my fault, but I'll just put the blame on me because someone's got to go under the bus, and I'll throw myself under. So, but episode 87 is going to be with David Delcourt of Grown As Foods. And again, he has a campaign already running on Republic. We will get you the link. Look out on my LinkedIn and also on CPG Vibes. I'll post it on both of them just to give some max exposure, since he's fundraising to grow his brand. And again, cpgvibes100@gmail.com if you'd like to sponsor or be a guest. And then, make sure to give us 5 stars. Go on Apple Podcast. We're at 112. We've been stuck there.
You're wrong.
Is it
You're
113?
You're wrong.
Okay. Now, we'll say this.
As of yesterday.
Okay. I want to say something before you say the number.
Okay. Go for it. Go for it.
Is that I went to the Cal Poly, which is my alma mater, Entrepreneurs Club. And I spoke at the first session of the year. It was 140 students. Okay. And I asked the students, I put it up on the PowerPoint, and I went to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. I was in the Entrepreneurs Club. It was much smaller back then. And they bring guests every week. And they decided, being an alumni, they brought me, and I gave them all wellness shots. They were disappointing. There weren't psychedelic mushrooms in the shots, but that's a different story. So I asked all of them, please give us 5 stars. And I checked a day later, and it was still at 112. This was Tuesday. I checked yesterday or on Wednesday. So I guess it kicked in late. And is it much higher than 112 now? What is it at?
So Alex, I'm proud to say we are at 118.
Wow. Okay,
we are at 118. So here, I'm just going to throw this out there, right? We're out of time, but we can go over just enough to talk about this. So there's the link. This also is free, much like the V-driven masterclass we talked about.
Good tie-in.
This is free. Yeah, right. It's a good tie-in. But you go there, it costs nothing for you just to give the little like box. The heart, I have to look to see what it is. Is a heart, is a like, what is it, Alex? It's just the little thing there, the stars, right? Give us 5 stars. It just gives what it does, just for those of you that aren't aware, it helps us with algorithms. If people are searching for CPG, if people are looking for podcasts with regards to entrepreneurship and things like that, it just helps us go up the charts for search engines and whatnot. So we are not too proud for you to take your child's, your wife's, your spouse, your whoever, your parents, take their phone, put podcasts, like it on their phone, like it on your phone, just do it, right? I mean, we're not too proud to take it from everyone in your household. It'll give us more exposure. And our ongoing goal is to stay ahead of our episode count. So currently we're on episode 86. We have 118 5-star reviews. We need to keep that number 118 above 86 because it's just too close, right? I mean, it's something where that's our ongoing goal. So if you could do that for us, like I said, encourage your significant other, your kids, grab their phone when they're in the shower or they're sleeping, what have you. Just
steal someone's phone in public.
Yeah, I was going to say, ask someone to borrow their phone and do it. But kidding aside, though, that's what we're looking for. It's just to get more exposure, to grow the community, and just get more people listening, and just bring attention to the show.
Wait, it would be really funny if sometimes that I don't know if you ever experienced this. I know we're running over time here. That when there's like a big dinner, right, and with all your friends, let's say 15, 20 people, there's a basket. And you're like, we want to all connect with each other. So put your phone in the basket. We just got to have something where you get the basket, you put the phones in there. I'll be hiding around the corner, maybe like in the bathroom or something. And I'll just go to one of the stalls and take all the phones and put 5 stars for all those phones.
Love it.
I would have to get their passwords though, and their Face ID, which is a whole nother challenge.
We'll have to work that part out, but that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So good stuff.
Cool. And then we're already beyond time, but weekend plans really quick.
I've got a friend visiting from Ohio that's anxiously awaiting to go get something to eat. So that's what I'm up to most of the weekend.
Cool. We have a gala tonight because it's gala season, September, October, when people start thinking about money. Not our gala. It's not the CPG Vibes gala. It's another gala. And then playing golf tomorrow, spending time with family on Sunday. So that's us. And then still recovering from all the traveling from last week. It was a lot of traveling.
And we'll touch on that next week for sure.
Absolutely. All right.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone. Love you, brother. Great
Love
episode.
You, buddy.
Thanks, everyone, for all your support. Take good care.